Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, we are joining a Zendikar Rising traditional best of 3 draft with Travis Simulanzhours. If you'd like to watch the drafting live, you can do so at www.twitch.tv/Simulan. Chat, say hello to YouTube. So right before I started this, I usually don't fire these drafts up until they're full for YouTube. But Grumpy Ajani in chat asks, so what is it with the Golgari deck that works better? We've been getting pretty consistent 2-1s and 3-0s multiple times per day with the Golgari deck. Now, I realize that the last YouTube video I did was a 1-2 with Golgari, but that day we had 2 or 3 3-0s and I think a 2-1. So we've been doing pretty consistently good with it, and I want to answer that question of what is making this deck good. And the idea with it is this. There's not really a reason to get into black-green. There's some synergy cards. I honestly do think it's one of the worst decks in the format. I think the best cleric deck will raffle stomp it. I think the best wizards deck will beat it to pieces. I think the best rogues deck will beat it. The problem is everyone at the table is looking to draft clerics, wizards, rogues. No one else is looking at most tables to be drafting black-green specifically, which means that the cards that are very good in that, like Moss Pit Skellington, Hagra Constrictor, I can generally be wheeling those and getting them very late. So I can spend my early picks on solid removal in black and green with something like Rabid Bite, which also gets passed relatively late. And then I can get into a pretty good spot. I mean, we've seen one black-green opponent in kind of every draft we've done. So, like, it's not... I think there's some people that just open a Moss Pit Skellington or... what's the 3-mana Hydra? I don't remember its name. They just open that and they're like, okay, I'm black-green now, haha. Which is fine. There can be 2 people at the table doing it. But there's 3 people at the table looking for wizards and 5 people looking for clerics and 6 people looking for rogues. So they're just not going after the same cards that I am. So if there's somebody across the table from me drafting the same deck, that's fine. Right? And there's somebody fighting over warriors. And we did play a black-red party deck yesterday to a 2-1 finish as well. And that there was nothing wrong with that. Like, I was trying to get into black-green, but it wasn't actually open, so we audibled into black-red party. So it's not that I'm necessarily forcing this. It's that I'm going to make my early picks with the assumption that I'm going to get past black and green cards. And then if I don't, I'll get off of it. Because, like... let's say you first pick a Deadly Alliance, a Subtle Strike, and a Blood Beckoning, and then you see a really good blue rare. Okay, maybe we'll change our mind and move somewhere else. So I feel like that's the biggest like upside of the Golgari deck, is that I'm getting a consistently good version of a lower tier deck. And then I'm playing it against bad versions to okay versions of a better tier deck, which means that my card quality will carry me over those decks. Whereas you get into a situation where we just get raffle stomped, it's where you're against that opponent where they were the only one drafting clerics. Because like we did a while where we were trying to do clerics, wizards, or rogues, and those decks were fine. The very good versions of it could get a 2-1 or a 3-0, and the very bad versions of it would get me an 0-2 or a 1-2. Which if you're trying to go infinite on Arena, you're just not capable of doing that when you're getting O2s. Like 2-1 is fine. We can take a 2-1 where you're not really up, you're not really that far down. You need to be hitting a 3-0 now and then, and you can go infinite. But if you're getting O2s, it's just game over, man. So that's kind of where my head has been at with this Golgari experiment. And we've been doing it all week, and it's been successful all week. We're recording this on Friday. So by the time you're seeing this on YouTube, you can come back on Monday or Tuesday and see if my head's still there. Didn't we beat the Leyline Tyrant deck yesterday? I'm pretty sure one of our games was against a deck that had a Leyline Tyrant, and we were able to beat it just by siding in a bunch of Broken Wings. Because I think it was the only way they had to actually win the game. I know they won game 1, but like the only threats they had in their deck were that and a Crawling Barrens. And we were able to beat the heck out of that. I think Election Day should be a national holiday and that voting should be compulsory, but go figure. I'm a fan of democracy. Some people aren't. But at the very least, legally get time off to vote. Yeah, I know there's a lot of countries where it is. And as I understand it, Australia does compulsory voting, where like you get mailed a ballot and you better tick it and send it in. Apologies, YouTube. I didn't think the queue would take this quite this long to fill, but I do think that explanation of why I'm prioritizing black and green cards relatively heavily as we get started will give you some context for the draft that we're about to do. Yeah, and the visionaries are great for this deck too. Like especially if you've got a blood beckoning or two, because you can pick up cheap creatures. Like Thwart the Grave is just an upgraded blood beckoning. Like these black green decks can either go with counter synergies or party synergies or just good removal and card advantage synergies, and you'll get kind of some of those pieces coming together. The biggest knock on it and the reason why it is open quite often is because there's I'll often say make sure you have a reason to be playing a deck or a color pair, and this deck isn't strong enough that there's anything that you'll open that'll make you say, "Well, I'm black green." But if you know that that's going to happen to everybody else at the table and they're going to undervalue it, all of a sudden you can be the one taking advantage of it being very open. So we're going to see if we can do that here. Again, I'm going to make my early picks under the assumption that we're black green. And if that doesn't work out, I'll get off it and move. This is actually a bit of a difficult first pick for me because in most of these decks, I want one copy of Feed the Swarm. And in all of these decks, I want at least one copy of Tangled Florahedron. Because the ramp is really nice. This deck ends up playing a decent amount of 5 drops. Like I've had versions where we had a couple of the Beetles and versions where we're just playing a bunch of the Turnt Timber aesthetics. It's not really aggressive enough that you can like jam 4 copies of Feed the Swarm in the deck. And the fact that this hits enchantments, but I should have access to that in green anyway, I think leads me towards the Florahedron. But I could respect Feed the Swarm here. If you're not looking to go specifically into Golgari, Bubble Snare would be a fine pick too, as would potentially the Wizard. This rare is really bad. Every time I've played against an opponent that had it, I've managed to kill them with it. So here's where some people will think I'm crazy, but I know what I want here. And it's not the Crab, and it's not the Relic Vial. This is an excellent opportunity for me to tell Alderoth and Good Speller, that's actually pretty funny, that I'm not playing clerics or rogues. And if they want to build around these cards, that's neat. This one will be taking black-white cards and prioritizing ones that I don't want. This one will be taking blue cards, which is great. I don't want those. This deck has to have a copy of Blood Beckoning to function. This is way too early to pick it, you would think, but this is the one card that rogues will fight me over. It's also really good against rogues when they're milling you. So this is not the strongest start I've ever seen, but we're going to get past the cards that we want. You would think that, but watch for how many more of these we see, because in most drafts I barely ever see one, and then you'll get one draft in every 10 where you get 5. But I mean, that's the thing. I'll play up to 3 of these. This pack all of a sudden has a lot of things we want for our deck. We're interested in Vanquish the Weak. We're interested in the Gnarlrid Colony. We're interested in the Gloom Hunter. There's some chance that we will a playable card from here, although it's unlikely. The Shadowcat is a little too valuable for this color pair for me to pass it here. One of my favorite things to do is get the Shadowcat in conjunction with the Beetle. And once you get that first counter, you're basically good to go. Now here, I don't need to take the Constrictor because I should be able to wheel it. I usually want one Turnt Timber aesthetic in all of these decks. I could respect the Predation here. I'm going to see a million more of these aesthetics. Let's just take the Predation. And again, we're telling people that we're not in Warriors, which is fine. We're not. So it's a question of whether I'm forcing this or just really trying to be in this deck. I think the fact that I was willing to get off of it and go into Black Red Party yesterday when we had a good start for it makes some sense. Right, there's another constrictor. There is a bug catcher, and that might be our downfall, is that it's looking like red is a little more open. So ideally, this next pick, we're going to see something stupid for our deck. I certainly hope we are, because this is a bit early for me to be taking some of these cards. I feel like even with a fail case, though, you at least get a playable deck that you can 2-1 with. Well, that's the other benefit of it, Calzad, and people who are watching on YouTube and saw the videos from the week prior where I was doing green things and looking to splash everything, is if you happen to open good rares or get past good rares in other colors, you can still consider splashing them in this base deck with Reclaim the Waste, Roiling Regrowth, Vastwood Expanse, and even the Lithoform Blight if you have to. And frankly, at this point, I'm going to take the Royal Mage. There's not a green card here for me to take. The Sky Dancer doesn't really go in this deck. This would be a really good splash if we happen to end up with a lot of good removal, and it gives me an opportunity to like shift into a different color pair if that's what I need to do. Because this is late. This is late. So this may be one of the drafts where I get forced out of it, or it may be a draft where I'm just like, hey, we've got 3 removal spells. I'll splash a Royal Mage to get one back late game. Blood Beckoning and Royal Mage also have a lot of synergy. If you have 2 Blood Beckonings and a Royal Mage, you can kind of loop them forever. I'm still going to stay on the plan and take the Gnarl Red Colony here. It's nice to have a 2 and a 5 drop, and this is giving me access to both. But it's possible we shift into Blue-Green Kicker. It would kind of surprise me. But you have to mix this with like a little bit of forcing and a little bit of still reading the table. When we start to see these wheels, we can really tell who's into what. The first pack won't have anything for us, but the second and third one should. So here we've got a Subtle Strike. This is a pretty good card in the stack. It can get your counter synergies going. We talked about Scale the Heights previously. You can play it in this deck, but that's kind of the sign of a bad version of this deck if you're running that. It's not obvious when you read the card, but if your opponent bounces or kills the creature in response to you casting it, it doesn't cycle, you don't gain any life, you can't play an additional land. It's very sad. So like, I'll run this, but I'm never playing it into open mana. Yeah, and here there's not a whole lot going on for us. I'm going to take the scale. This will, like I said, will either end up with us having a bad version of the deck or just shifting out of it. But even if I get into blue-black or blue-green, I don't really want any of this. Smite's fine, but like I'm not playing white because we got a smite. We managed to use Subtle Strike yesterday to blow out an opponent's smite by shrinking our own creature. That was rather satisfying. All right, Brute came back. So did the Relic Vial, and that's kind of interesting. The Brute's not going to put anybody in green. I think we take it and see if we end up with a lot of clerics or find ourselves shifting into clerics. Because Blood Beckoning, like, we don't really have a reason to be green yet, other than I expect it's eventually going to be open. I've also ended up in black-green decks that had a surprising number of clerics. But this is a speculative pick. I don't think we're going to play it. There wasn't. So a lot of people looked at this and didn't want it. As suspected, we wheeled the Hagra Constrictor and the Deadworm. Deadworm? Dreadworm. The Constrictor usually goes where I want it to go, and I can usually find enough 5 drops. There may be somebody trying some weird stuff, and I've seen players that go for just 3-color decks. I still don't think that's a great idea. A light splash, sure. But I don't think there's anybody. There may be people in green, and there may be people in black, but if I'm getting this Hagra Constrictor pick 13, there's nobody in green-black. All right, so already today we have splashed Tazri in this deck, and it was good. In that case, I did it with a flip duel and some basics. So I'd feel pretty comfortable taking Tazri here. It would lead towards us wanting to have more party people in the deck, but there's already a lot of them that I would be picking highly. Because there's not really anything here for the counter deck. The Canopy Baloth is fine, but I'm not excited about it. Yeah, let's take Tazri and see if we can splash that. And adjust our creatures to be more, oh god, I want this pack. If I could just take this pack, I'm happy. So Marasa Sproutling and Blood Beckoning are kind of my favorite thing to do in this format. I don't think I can pass the shade for it. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to wheel something because I'd play a supplies. I might get back the Survivor. There's going to be one rogue player that wants this. There's going to be one red player that kind of has to take this. But this is off to a really good start so far. If we can pick up a Reclaim the Waste out of a weak pack, I'm going to be pretty tickled. This pack makes me a little sad. I think we need to go for the Skycleave Cleric here, which is really not something I wanted to be picking, but it gives us access to, like, we're going to have to play some number of planes to cast Tazri. This kind of gives me a free Spland in there, and if we do have to shift into black-white clerics, we could obviously still play this. So I'm not particularly loving that pack. This one's better. This one's a lot better. Because this Horn Beetle is one of the better things we can get for our deck. I'd like the Reclaim too, but I'm not passing a Horn Beetle. That's like the premium card for this deck. All right, Cabria Takedown would be a better extra splash than the Skycleave Cleric. I'm just not super committed to the splash yet. But I'm still going to play it. I'm expecting to play one Plains, Cabria Takedown, and a Reclaim the Wastes, but I'm going to have to find the Reclaim the Wastes. Green-white is another archetype that is typically pretty open, and it's okay to play it. I want all of these. Green's open. I think I want the Balagad Recovery more, but I certainly want a Scythe Cat, and I want another Nectar Pot. 2 Constrictors is about how many I want. Unless I get more absurd counter shenanigans. Okay, sure. Neat. If I could go back and take the Scythe Cat, I would, but not for us. We've got so many spell lands. I haven't had this many spell lands in a deck since the format started. Right now, Tazri's not worth the splash. So it's entirely possible that we just cut this entirely and don't play it. Because there's, like, the upside of Tazri on the splash is that you can cast it for a little bit cheaper, and you can actually activate it and draw cards. Right now, we don't have any party people. So I was hoping that we would see things like the Jiraga Visionary. We would maybe see the Fleshbag Marauder Cleric. We would see the 1/1 Death Touch Rogue. And once we started getting those, Tazri becomes interesting. Like, I probably want at least 4 hits in the deck. Me? Why do you force Golgari, Travis? Because you can get pick 8 Moss Pit Skeletons. Dr. Spilkin, thank you for the raid. Much appreciated. Welcome on in. I hope you had a good stream. But we're getting somewhere. I don't need another Hagra Constrictor. I might end up playing a Spare Supplies. If you don't get the Reclaim, could you just play the Cleric's Bland as well and call it a wash? Possibly, but why bother? Like, The upside is that I play a Plains and I have access to a Skycleave Cleric and a Tazri that I can't even activate. I'm kind of not super interested in that. I'm glad to have you here, Doc. So which of these do I want more? I don't have a Rabid Bite, which lowers the utility of this a bit, but I think I'm more likely to find an Aesthetic, and if I have to fill that role with a Dreadworm, I can probably find one of those too. But yeah, that is indicating that we're probably the only person in Golgari at the table, which is kind of what we suspected. I end up siding this in almost every matchup. So I'm just going to grab a Zendikar here, which you would think would mean that I need to be main decking it. I mean, if we do the white splash, we now have a solid reason to be doing it. I just need to reclaim the wastes. I'm probably playing a McLord. Verdict is quite interesting, but I have to take this Deadly Alliance. I don't know that I would splash this too, because I'd have to play 2 planes, so that's probably not making it in either. But yeah, I virtually have no removal other than a Subtle Strike, which doesn't really count, so we need to grab this and ideally get past another black removal spell. Okay, so if you were playing at home and you were curious, it was Clerics. It was Clerics the whole time. It was never not Clerics. I literally can't do anything with that. It's a 4-mana Death Touch here. So we've made mistakes. We're sad. It hurts. I'm bad. Well, a Stomper I can take or leave. The colony is what we would want here. It plays well with the Horn Beetle. It plays very well with the Constrictor. Plays well with the Scythe Cat. Like this is an easy colony for us. I don't have to have a Stomper. I need as many colonies as I can get. Okay, it's not that bad. We got us a Sproutling. So I can already start to do loops with the Sproutling and Blood Beckoning. But I think the White Splash is probably just off at this point. I've only got one party thing to get. So, like, potentially we see a late Reclaim the Waste and play the Cabria Takedown into Plains. But maybe even not then. Because, like, this wouldn't be a spell land for us. But I'm pretty happy with the Sproutling. Okay, we got some options here. So the first Cleric is pretty good. And gives us another 5-drop if we whiff here. The second Blood Beckoning would also be very nice. But I think this deck just wants the Cleric. And if I can make the splash happen, it's even better. Oh, Rabid Bite versus Beckoning. I got to take the Bite. I really want 2 Beckonings, but I don't think I'm getting any more options here. So we probably have to realistically look at the deck as this. Unless we see a very late Reclaim the Wastes. Scythe Cat will be pretty nice here. It'll play nicely with the Horn Beetle. It'll play nicely with the Colony and the Skeleton. And you see what this is doing. We want cards that put counters on things. So we can run Baloth as just kind of a beater. Which is not the worst. I could use another 4. This deck doesn't really want this card, but it's fine. Yeah, and it's starting to dry up here. I do have enough spell lands that we could just play the spell lands and splash the Tazri off of it, but it's a 5-mana 4/6 in this deck with no text. I guess you could spin the wheel to try to find this or that, but that's not realistically happening. This is the last spot we could see a Reclaim the Waste and turn that on. But like, if this is the deck and we just fill it with like a Zendikar, a Sentinel, and a Spare Supplies, I'm fine. Yeah, we're not getting it. I think I'm going to try out the Oblivion's Hunger, though. We've got enough counter shenanigans that I can do something with that. That's another one where I don't always play it, but it has a spot in this deck. All right, we can play the Stomper. I don't mind 1/6 drop, and we do have a bunch of spell lands. So I think what we found at this table was that green and black were both being drafted, but green-black wasn't. Sadly, it looks like only one Skellington was opened or somebody speculated on one, but that's fine. I could conceivably play two of those. With this many spell lands, I don't need to run 17 basics. Could run the Scale the Heights too, potentially, because I don't really need any more creatures. Let's see how many lands I actually want to play. So Fortification is one copy. These recoveries are one copy. I usually don't count the Florahedron as a land. So we've got 4 lands in here already. So this is 21 cards. I could add 2 more cards and still be pretty happy. "14 basics would give us 19 mana sources. I don't want 19. I want about 18. So we've got 5 already. That means I need 13 basics. Which gives me room for the 2 cards I was mentioning. This is a medium version of the deck? Sure, but it's still not bad. We can just main deck a Zendikar and a Scale the Heights and be okay. I also don't mind spare supplies. I don't mind the Sentinel much either. That would make me want to play a few more mana sources so that I could conceivably kick it. Let's try spare supplies and the Zendikar. Nah, the counter shenanigans are strong with this. I think I can still play it. So we've got three green sources. So it'd give me 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that would leave me room for 6, 7 black. I should probably just cut this here because it's still 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can go 9, 8. What's up, generic guy? I think this will work. This, again, is not the best version of this deck that I've ever played, but it's good enough. Let's do our Stream Raiders battle and get to the games. It was funny when we were doing the Among Us stream last night, everybody was AFK for one of the rounds in the beginning because we were all firing our Stream Raiders battles. All right, we've got Dom with the kills, Burb with the assists. Scrolls for Urbuk, Rolling Rock, Rocky, David, and Dom. And boss fight, go. Let's get this Headless Horseman, yo. All right, cool. Let's party. So we've already had a 3-0 today and a 2-1. So I imagine since this is the YouTube draft, it'll go 1-2, and nobody on YouTube will believe we can actually win with this. But we really trust me, we have been. This is fine. Seems sus. Fair. We've got somebody being very aggressive. It's a shame there's basically nothing that we could use to take that out. Do I want to play the Constrictor first and then go for value? It's only 2 damage. I don't mind taking 2 damage. Three colors, what a monster. It's got the option to strike and draw a card next turn. That's just efficient mana usage. Oh, my poor little dude. He was just doing snake things, man. Just wanted to be a snake. If we can disenchant this, it does come back. Oh, it would actually come back as a 2/2. I was thinking it would come back as a 0/0. That doesn't seem too great. All right, so this turn we can Predation and Rabid Bite. And Predation's not going to get any better than this. So let's see what they got over there. 2 practice tactics. Okay, that's valuable information. But this guy's not doing anything. You just get out of my game. I can attack with this next turn. Looks like I'm probably going to have to attack with this next turn. It's a lot of work to get 2 damage in. Wonder what the black's for. We've both got matching Chandra sleeves. That's pretty cool. Tuck Tuck Rubble Fort. That card has not impressed me much. Two one is okay. 2/1 is okay. We're playing against an aggressive deck. So something like Stomper probably isn't strictly necessary here. I don't really have much I can bring in over it other than the Zendikar. But I have a feeling I'd be happier with the Zendikar in this matchup. Especially when we're going on the draw. Like, this is kind of a 5 mana 4/4. I get it, it's bad. But it's not the droid we're looking for, it's the droid we have. All right, I like to party. This is not particularly great against them on the draw, but like, it is what it is. I think they forgot it can block. Or forgot that it can't block, rather. That can be annoying. Particularly since they're going to draw cards with it. My option is to race it now. That is what they are presenting me. That's a pretty good Spork Mage. That's going to make it incredibly difficult to race now. All right, so we can kill this. And that's all we can do. That's literally all we can do. Does that still leave me just dead? It probably leaves me chump blocking. I'm not sure what my recovery looks like from there. This is good. This is good news. What if instead we go for this and a Vastwood Fortifications? They're going to get another card, but I may actually be able to kill this. I think this is my best shot at stabilizing. Because, like, there's going to be some temptation to move this here and attack, and I can block and fortify. Then they have to move it off on their turn. Ugh, double strike. I'm trying to decide if I need to chump this 3. I don't think I can. Oh, never mind. We're dead. Literal just dead. It's gonna block here. Block here. Take 4 and be dead. I need 2 spells this turn and I don't have them. You're still going to have to show it to me. I appreciate that it puts the 0 cost on it when it turns into a creature, because it is a 0 CMC creature. Hey, we got some information. It's not really anything we can capitalize on, but now we know a thing that we didn't before. Why are they not killing me? Oh, they are. It has double strike. Never mind. We should be in better shape on the play, because their mana has to screw them up at some point. I don't know what the Black Splash is for, but bad mana gets you over time. I think I want to cut a Constrictor and play the Scale of the Heights just to try to get to the cards that matter faster. It's not a bad top deck with some of the creatures I have. All right, that's about as good as we could ask for. The Mace? I don't think I'd splash for the Mace. Oh, the rare. Okay, okay. The Death Touch flying rare. Fair, 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 fair. I forgot about that one. I want to fire this off this turn. It's risky. Tended Healer, huh? The binding's pretty bad for me. So is the Attended Healer. I feel like the binding's the one I gotta cut. Otherwise, they're just gonna answer the shade, and that's game over, man. But now we know we can trade this for the Expedition Healer pretty happily. Land me. I mean, that's kind of land. Oh, God, they got the combo. I'm in danger. There's no reason not to have this in play here. I can just make him kill it next turn. We'll draw another land eventually. It's Mardu Clerics is what's happening over here. Because they can swing back for a lot more. They're the aggro deck. I'm not the aggro deck. And next turn we can do it. Because I'll have ground blockers. Actually, this is just better. I'll save that for later. They could also have a party tactics here, which would be sad, but at least everything's out of their hand. Okay, there's their party tactics. But I'm keeping up with the cats currently. They don't eat beetles. They trade with beetles, you see. That's pretty good. I don't have one of them. Recovery for a bright blade isn't the worst here. Recovery for the sentinel is nice, but it's a bit slow. I would not want to fight against that opponent. I don't know why they won't block that here, but I like it. Okay, they finally will. I'm drawing the card anyway for that. All right, we're going to have to do something about that. It's a problem. Yeah, we can sacrifice this and get something back if we need to, but I need something that can handle this in the air, and I don't have that just yet. I guess we could use that, right? Like block with this, sacrifice it, get back the Zendikar, play it on the other one. Oh, no, that doesn't work. It gets me going for a little bit, but not nearly long enough. I'm in danger. The Sentinel would be big enough to do it, but I can't really get to the Sentinel right now, huh? Good grief. How do I stop this? I probably don't. Yeah, we need to find removal, which means I'm going to need to be sacrificing things with counters on them. I think here I'm kind of stuck chumping for a turn and sacrificing this and then seeing what we can do there. But like the problem is I've got one Deadly Alliance in the deck. So it's going to take us a while to get there. And if they draw a land, I'm kind of just dead. We've been dead to a... Yeah, as soon as they drew the Kite Sail, we're dead to a land. That's not going to be good for us. I think this still triggers, right? Oh, well, it won't untap them. Okay. Why are they not killing me? I don't know why they're not killing me. I like it, but they're just making cats. We have built the womboiest of combos and may have managed to get out of this. You stop it. Safety. I think that was the scoop of not understanding what my cards did and getting frustrated. Yeah, they just remove the thing and make it indestructible. So the line there was we do the rabid bite, they make it indestructible. They move it back. We can block it. We can sack the Balagad recovery, get back, and presumably they would attack with it and then move it again like they did the previous turn. We could block with the Balagad recovery land, sacrifice it, use that to get back the Rabid Bite, and then finally kill the thing. And that was going to need some loops to happen. But now the world may never know. All right, I apologize. I don't usually do this during the YouTube drafts, but I do need a break, and I think we've probably got this boss fight down. So I'm going to let you guys do the boss fight. I'm going to run to the bathroom and grab a soda. We'll see the rewards. I won't know what happened in the battle until I get back, so there's going to be some tension. But anyway, I'll be right back with you, and we will conclude this draft. Did we win? It looks like we won. Looks like Blauhorn got the kills and the assists. Thank you, Blauhorn. We've got scrolls for Fort, Mythic Soul, and Grumpy Ajani, and a boss chest for ye all. Look at all this stuff. I got Mage Scrolls, Shadowflame Warriors. How many people do we have in chat that are super into Stream Raiders? Raise your hand if Stream Raiders is cool. Sim Chair like Stream Raiders. Orcish Artillery like Stream Taters. Stream Taters. So does Miori. Chrono Mill does. So Sabi, I'm not sure. Is that 2 hands up or confusion? Techno Shaman digs it. Because I might have a Stream Raiders giveaway that we can do after the YouTube draft concludes. Or an exclusive skin code. This seems like it might be a good time to do it. If you're watching on YouTube, if you were here live, you could be making fun of my mistakes as I make them, playing Stream Raiders, and eligible to win an exclusive skin. Wouldn't that be cool? So when we conclude the YouTube drafting, guess who's back? Back again. Boop. Shade ain't going nowhere, yo. I don't mind trading off the Sproutling, because if we're able to get back a Blood Beckoning, it's pretty dang good. I do sadly need to kill your dude now that you have buffed it, so you're going to have to go. If I can replay the Shade, get something that can attack in next turn, and 2 1/1s, or I can just play the Cleric and have good blocks. I think I want the Shade here because it means 1 more land, and we're in kicked home slice here. Like, I don't care if they want to hit me for 6. Hey, what's up, Jacques? We had a good time, man. We had a real good time. Was good. It was really good. I'm going to put the highlights on YouTube. seems like a fair trade. This one's going to be a little bit of a problem. It's gotten big enough that it matters now, and the vigilance is going to hold this back. So I kind of need to get a Deadly Alliance for it, but I can't cast it this turn, which is just really awkward. So I think I'm going to chump it with the Scythe Cat and then kill it, because they don't have anything going if I take care of that. Feels awkward to chump with the Scythe Cat, but this needs to be dead. Adventure awaits you, young Scythe Cat. It's a tough blocking situation for them. Why the main phase Resolute Strike? To try to get me to chomp? Do you just not have anything? Interesting. So their deal is big creatures. I need to not use removal on anything that isn't ginormous. And I probably need to try to combat beef with beef. I didn't see much interaction from them other than a couple of combat tricks, right? I suppose the inscription is a fight spell at least. We need to not let them prey upon us with that. Baloth's pretty bad here. So is the Constrictor. Can probably play Scale the Heights as a one of, and the Zendikar with the idea that it can potentially get back some splans. I do still like the Stomper here. This is going to be hard on the draw. I wish I had more Bright Blades, but I don't. And this is the world we live in. Oh. Couldn't ask for much better than that. Who's a good kitty? I'm looking to do some daytime Among Us with the Alakazam King in the not too distant future. That's interesting. I mean, I like it. But that's 2 to equip, right? So like playing it out doesn't really do anything. I forgot I was playing this. We racing? We racing? Alrighty, let's race. Okay, okay, okay. You had one too. I see what you did. We're a little short playables. But it worked. We mentioned it in the draft portion that it's a card that you can play in this deck. We actually sideboarded it in against this opponent. I think I've played it in 3 decks since we've been Golgariing. I think I only mained it in 1, but it's part of the size board here. Like it's not in the main deck, but like there's a reason to play a card like Scale the Heights on occasion. And if your opponent's trying to race you and you have to find cards in your deck that matter in the interaction and you have some that just don't, like the Haggard Constrictor is actively bad in that matchup. So we would like to just we'd like to spend 3 mana, gain some life, which is going to matter, put a counter on something, which is going to matter, and then find one of the few removal spells we have to deal with their big giant creatures. They just kind of went in on a pants strategy, which the last core set had a lot of pants shenanigans going on. If you're not familiar with pants, that's kind of a nickname that a lot of Magic players will give for playing one creature and then putting a lot of enchantments, or in the case of this format, equipment on it. Kind of call it suiting them up or putting on pants. Well, I don't have my broken rare in my opener. Feels bad, man. Those are cool sleeves. Those are super cool sleeves. I want some. Yeah, there's some formats where it's okay to do that and some where it isn't. If they think that's good enough to play, I don't want to deal with it. Especially since I can double spell this turn. What's up, Siebes? Like, I'm already going to be very susceptible to Into the Royal. There's no sense making it really good against me. We've cited it in already today and was good. It was against a blue-red Wizards deck. We didn't cite it in this draft for YouTube, but we have cited it in today. Yeah, I don't think I have either, Adam. I think I may have once. So we get a 3 for 1. I'm surprisingly okay with that. Easy peasy. Just in case they kill it. They can tap it too. But they'd have to have like some weird stuff to be able to kill it. Yeah, the Snarecaster's not the worst card I've ever seen. There's just not a lot of places where it's actively good. If they don't have a rooster drakes, I'm a be confused. I probably missed a free attack with the other dude, but I'm just excited to play the deck more. That doesn't make sense. Just do the thing that closes the game out. How upset am I if they just bounce it again and start attacking me? I'm pretty upset. Okay. Better than a gray ogre? Yeah, you're getting an extra point of stats. But I mean, what card isn't better than a gray ogre in modern Magic? They just don't make 3-mana 2/2s anymore. They got some plans. Golgari is my favorite thing to be playing. I think it's arguably the best thing to be playing. What you got over there? That's what I thought. Meh. Look at me. I'm drawing cards. It's fine. You draw your cards. Oh, we're racing now. Okay. Wow, this is not going to be super difficult from here. Constrictor's lethal, right? It's not lethal. It does make them block with this. No, it still doesn't even do that. I'm going to feel a lot safer having the Sentinel in play. We're doing a draft deck. El Mancho. So there's not really a deck list to be shown. You should be able to click on the Cardboard Live overlay on Twitch and see what we have in the deck. I think that list there is from when I played Standard 2 or 3 years ago, which is really the last time I've played it seriously. I think I'm pretty okay with the Constrictor now. I want to give him one more card to be depressed. I didn't think about it. I was thinking about standard deck from a million years ago. Doing good, Crud. How you doing? I was playing around the card they didn't have in hand. The YouTube deck is doing good. Doing good. I think we're going to make good things happen. Oh, that delicious salt. It doesn't bother me. They say go big or go home, and I'm already home. So, uh, what? Not to mention, I got started on Moto where people could time you out for 10 minutes. So the like 4 minutes or whatever you get here, not really hurting me. We'll use our full sideboarding time, not out of spite, but because we need it to finish our Stream Raider battle. And I did promise a Stream Raider skin giveaway when we finish the YouTube draft. So stick around. Yeah, the shade is very good. The drawback's not really a problem when you don't want to block anyway. We are smashing pumpkins. Look at us. This is not really an opponent that I'd care to be using Scale the Heights against. It looks like we've got Yargle with the kills, unless that changes here, and Jacques with the assists. Rewards for Sparrow, Rolling Rock, Smool, Disaster, and Miori. I'll let you get your units placed here. Make an archer sandwich. I'm going to want a Zendikar. Sure. Probably only one constrictor. I think I can make a pretty compelling argument to just play a kite sail of my own instead of the McLord. Blocking is for mathematicians, so I've heard. You play enough Magic, you'll block somebody to death. It's pretty satisfying. Who's a good kitty? Yeah, you can work a violin every now and then. You can get in for 2. I don't think I need to Rabid Bite a 2-1. We'll see. I kind of want to go Bright Blade, Balagad Recovery next turn, and then Zendikar it and see what they do. That might change my plan a bit. That size board, yo. Recovery that. That's kind of sad. Further recovery this later. Death by kite sail, eh? I can't quite get enough value out of my graveyard right now, and I really want to. This is a little scary, but it puts him so close to dead, I think it's still worth going for. Because I do like it when they're dead. They need a double spell, and at least one of those spells needs to be something that they can put the kite sail on or be a flyer of its own right. So I think like Bright Blade and another 3/2 is probably their best option, and that just buys them a turn. Bubble Tea and a blocker would start to do something. Undo buys them a turn, but I don't know exactly what they can do with it. Maybe a bouncy mage? Nah, that still loses to the kite sail. If they're going to kite sail me, I'll kite sail them right back. Oh, we're getting this again. That's good news. That's real good news. It's either salt or the thinking. I could still have an Into the Royal. No, they don't have an Into the Royal. Well, now YouTube can believe that I can 3-0 with green black. That's 2 in a row with green black decks. And like that is how you make the gem printer go as they say. Chat, say goodbye to YouTube. YouTube, thank you very much for watching the draft. If you'd like to see this happen live, make fun of all my mistakes, enjoy Stream Raiders and interacting with my wonderful chat, I really do have the best chat on Twitch. You can watch live at www.twitch.tv/Simulan. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We will see you next time.